June 2002, the Western Conference Finals, the Sacramento Kings, a small market powerhouse, are minutes away from dethroning the Los Angeles Lakers dynasty. But then, the unthinkable happens. In the fourth quarter of Game 6, the Lakers are handed 27 free throws. The Kings' big men are whistled for fouls they didn't commit. The Lakers win, force a Game 7, and eventually the title. Ralph Nader called for an investigation. Fans called it a robbery. Years later, disgraced referee Tim Donaghy called it a fix. For decades, the NBA has been dogged by a singular, persistent ghost. The idea that the association isn't a sport, but a soap opera, a multi-billion-dollar entertainment product where the winners are decided in a boardroom in Secaucus, New Jersey, long before the tip-off. Today, we're not just talking about bad luck. We're diving into the silver script. We're looking at the statistical anomalies, the leaked directives, and the massive financial incentives that suggest Commissioner Adam Silver isn't just presiding over a league, he's directing a masterpiece for TV ratings. Is the NBA scripted? Let's look at the evidence the league desperately wants you to ignore. To understand the script, you have to understand the money. The NBA is currently operating under a media rights deal worth billions, and the next one is projected to be even higher. But these networks, ESPN, ABC, and TNT, aren't paying for fairness, they're paying for eyeballs. Look at the numbers. A playoff series featuring the New York Knicks or the Los Angeles Lakers pulls in roughly 30 to 40% higher ratings than a series featuring the Indiana Pacers or the Oklahoma City Thunder. In a pure sport, the best team wins regardless of their zip code. But in Adam Silver's NBA, a Lakers-Knicks finals is the holy grail. The script theory posits that the league utilizes the whistle to ensure these high-value assets stay alive. It's called series extension. Every extra game in a playoff series is worth an estimated $30 million in additional revenue for the league and its partners. If a series is a sweep, that money vanishes. Have you ever noticed how often a 3-0 series suddenly sees a miraculous comeback by the trailing team in Game 4, only for the favorite to win in Game 5 or 6? That isn't just pride, that is protecting the bottom line. The anatomy of the whistle. Officiating is the primary tool of the script. It's the perfect weapon because it's subjective. A touch foul can be called or ignored at the referee's discretion, and the league can always hide behind the human error excuse. But when you analyze the data, the errors seem to lean in one direction. Researchers have long studied star treatment. Why does a superstar like Joel Embiid or Giannis Antetokounmpo shoot more free throws than entire opposing rosters in some halves? The league argues it's because they're aggressive. The skeptics argue it's brand protection. If the star player fouls out in the first quarter, the product is ruined. Therefore, stars are given a protection bubble, while the defenders assigned to them are put on a short leash. This creates an artificial flow to the game. By putting a team's best defender in foul trouble early, the refs can dictate the outcome without ever having to fake a basket. They simply remove the obstacles. Then there's the last 2-minute report. The league introduced these to increase transparency, but many veterans see them as a psychological trick. By admitting the refs missed a game that decided the game, the NBA isn't fixing the problem, they're gaslighting the fans. They acknowledge the mistake when it's too late to change the result, effectively saying, "We know we messed up, but the results we wanted stand." The ghost of Tim Donaghy. You cannot talk about the NBA being scripted without talking about the man who broke the seal. Tim Donaghy, in 2007, the FBI dropped a bombshell. Donaghy, a veteran referee, was betting on games he officiated. The NBA's defense was that he was a lone wolf, but Donaghy's claims were far more sinister. He alleged that the NBA office would routinely tell referees which players to watch for illegal screens or traveling, effectively telling them who to penalize. He specifically pointed to the 2002 Lakers-Kings series and the 2006 Mavericks-Heat finals. In 2006, Dwayne Wade shot 97 free throws in a six-game series, more than the entire Mavericks team in key stretches. Donaghy claimed the refs were coached to give Wade the whistle to ensure a Miami comeback. If it happened then, why would it stop now, especially when the stakes are 10 times higher? Today, Adam Silver has embraced sports betting. The NBA is now partners with the very entities that used to be the league's greatest threat. When the point spread is 4.5 and a bench player hits a meaningless three-pointer at the buzzer to cover the spread, is it luck or is it the script fulfilling a betting handle? The lottery luck. The script doesn't just happen on the court, it starts in the boardrooms during the draft lottery. Think about the coincidences. 1985, the first ever lottery. The New York Knicks, the league's biggest market, just happened to get the frozen envelope to draft Patrick Ewing. 2003, the Cleveland Cavaliers, a struggling franchise in LeBron James' backyard, just happened to win the right to draft the chosen son. 2012, the New Orleans Hornets, a team then owned by the NBA itself and for sale, win the lottery to draft Anthony Davis, miraculously increasing the franchise's sale value. 2023, the San Antonio Spurs, the league's gold standard for international scouting, win the rights to Victor Wembanyama, the greatest prospect since LeBron James. The league claims the lottery is conducted by an independent firm, Ernst & Young. But in a world of digital manipulation and billion-dollar valuations, is it really hard to believe that the random ping-pong balls always seem to land exactly where the narrative needs them to go? The rise of the entertainment defense. Here is the most chilling part of the silver script theory. In a court of law, many sports leagues have argued that they are not sports in the legal sense, but sports entertainment, similar to the WWE. While the NBA hasn't explicitly used this defense to admit to fixing games, the legal precedent exists. If the NBA is legally entertainment, they have no obligation to ensure a fair contest. They only have an obligation to provide a compelling show for their shareholders. Adam Silver is a lawyer by trade. He understands the product. Under his leadership, the NBA has moved away from the gritty defensive battles of the 90s towards a high-scoring, three-point-heavy offensive explosion. Why? Because casual fans don't want to watch an 82-80 defensive grind. They want 140-135. They want highlights. They want the script to be fast-paced and flashy. When defenders are no longer allowed to touch the offensive player, that isn't a rule change, that's a script adjustment. It ensures the characters, the stars, can perform their stunts, dunks and long threes, without interference. The anomalies of 2024-2026. As we look at the most recent seasons, the anomalies are piling up. We've seen miraculous play-in tournament runs by the Lakers and Warriors, the two biggest ratings draws, by mediocre regular seasons. We've seen the league's last 2-minute reports admit to game-altering errors in high-stakes matchups with startling frequency. And then there's the scheduling. The script often manifests in the rest advantage. The league's schedule makers, who work directly under the commissioner, frequently hand market favorites more days of rest before nationally televised games against small market rivals. It's a subtle way to tilt the scales before a single shoe squeaks on the hardwood. Conclusion: believe your eyes. So, is the NBA scripted? If you mean a literal script where players read lines and miss shots on purpose, probably not. The players have too much pride and too much money on the line. But if you mean scripted in the sense that the environment is curated, that the referees are managed, that the rules are skewed to favor certain outcomes, that the lottery is a narrative delivery system, then the evidence is overwhelming. Adam Silver's NBA is a business, and in business, you don't leave your billion-dollar outcomes to chance. You ensure that the stars shine, the big markets thrive, and the series goes 7. The next time you see a whistle that makes no sense, or a superstar getting a call that defies the laws of physics, or a lucky bounce for a team in a major market, don't let the commentators tell you it's just the magic of the game. Believe what you see. You're not watching a sport, you're watching the script.